Welcome and thank you for joining me here at Film Pro Productivity. Each week I'll be introducing concepts that film professionals and other creatives can use to make life easier and avoid creative burnout. I'll also present time management and lifestyle hacks for a more focused, effective and happy life. My name is Carter Ferguson and this is episode 10, Multitasking, the Myth. On last week's show, I gave you 4 productivity rules to hack procrastination and get things done. If you missed that episode, then check it out, as it's a doozy. As usual, I'd love to hear how you're getting on with the techniques and concepts that I talk about here, and you can get in touch via the contact page on filmproproductivity.com. Why not leave me a message on the SpeakPipe voicemail service that I have there? To hear you in person would be really pretty amazing. This week, though, I am talking about multitasking and why it's a bad thing for productivity. You've likely heard the old adage that he who chases 2 rabbits catches neither. Or maybe you prefer she who chases many rabbits catches none. Simply doing one thing at a time is the most direct way to be efficient and ultimately productive in what you set out to do. If you chase too many rabbits, or too many goals and objectives simultaneously, then you will likely find that you end up with none of them at all. To choose to follow one idea when our brain is churning out 10 new thoughts a minute, though, can be very difficult. But until you can get over that hurdle and get yourself focused on one thing, then you're guaranteed to dissipate your energy and slow down your journey towards whatever goal you have in mind. I personally don't find this very easy, but I'm getting better at it. Even when I sat down to write this episode, I had to stop myself from doing too much at once. Although I had a clear idea of what I wanted to say, I still found myself with a copy of Gary Keller's awesome book, The One Thing, at my side, which I was referring to, and about 8 or 9 different tabs on the subject opened on Google, and with social networking pings and other stuff going on, I was looking at my phone every 2 minutes as well. So I was jumping from one thing to the other, trying to build up the episode and offer new things and new ideas and round off my own opinions. But in the end, I was just slowing, and the episode was going nowhere. Eventually, what I had to do was just stop and take my own advice. So I switched the phone off and put away the book and shut down all the tabs and started again with only one thing in mind: to create an episode on this topic that will make a difference. Just before I go on to the lesson, I really must say that the book, The One Thing, that I mentioned a minute ago, is absolutely amazing. And I'll do an episode review of it somewhere down the line for sure. I'll put a link to it in the show notes though, so you can have a look at it now if you're interested. And although I'll touch on some of its key messages here, it covers way more than the concepts that I'm going to go into, and I can highly recommend it. Messing 2 things up at the same time really isn't multitasking, is it? The constant jumping about of the mind slows us down. That's one of the fundamental problems with multitasking. Every time you switch, you need to refocus on a new thing, and that in turn takes a little bit of time. When I first looked into this, I heard this example. If you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can do it in like 1 or 2 seconds. And if you go through the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, you can do that in 1 or 2 seconds as well. But if you have to do both at the same time, 1A, 2B, 3C, 4D, 5E, and I really was trying there, then the total time is neither 5 or 6 seconds. For me, in that one example, which, try it yourself, but in that one example, it's multitasking proven to fail. And it's a win for the do one thing at a time ideology. Concentrating on a single task is one aspect of something called flow, or the flow state of mind. Wikipedia says about this, quote, "In positive psychology, flow, also known as being in the zone, is the mental state of operation in which a person performing an activity is fully immersed in a feeling of energized focus, full involvement and enjoyment in the process of the activity. In essence, flow is characterized by complete absorption in what one does and a resulting loss in one's sense of space and time." Put simply then, if you're jumping about, you really never will hit any sort of flow. And I used to think that multitasking was something I was good at. I had a sort of pride in it, but I've come to realise that it really does just slow me down and, if anything, stops me. stops me from achieving my goals. I might feel busy and I might even feel productive, but the reality is that I still jump about between tasks and slow down and lose more and more time as I tune back in. I mean, I can kind of multitask a bit, but only on a very basic level. For example, I can walk the dog and listen to a podcast, but to be honest, that's maybe slightly unfair on my dog Angus, who demands somewhat more attention than at times I want to give him. You're almost guaranteed to that 5 or 6 times in the walk I'll yank the headphones out of my ears or the socket as I throw the ball and catch the cable, and then I have to reset the whole thing. It's a bit of bother. But by doing this, I'm kind of doing more than one thing at the same time. If I multitask on most things, however, I am literally just doing a bit of one and then a bit of another and then returning to the last one and doing a bit more. I'm absolutely certain that people working in kitchens and stuff can achieve some sort of level of capability in multitasking, but overall, it's really not a good way to go. New York Times columnist David Brooks points out that a person who is interrupted while performing a task takes 50% more time to complete it and makes 50% more errors. So actually, when multitasking, the quality of your work goes down and your understanding and comprehension goes way down with it. More often than not, when I meet a new person, I instantly forget their name because my mind is somehow distracted and unable to process or retain the new information. I'm terrible for this and I really have to work at it. So multitasking short-circuits the short-term memory, meaning that very often we have to revisit things which if we'd just done them one thing at a time, we would have managed. When doing several things at once, your mind is divided between them and it's guaranteed that your mistakes will multiply. And the name forgetting thing is a good example. An AD introduced himself to me on set yesterday and I was straight in and working out a fight and I had to covertly kind of ask his name a wee bit later. I'd absolutely, totally not taken it in. What had happened hilariously when I'm writing an episode on multitasking is that I was working on a show that shoots 2 different episodes simultaneously. And one's on a set, an outdoors set, and one is on an indoors set. And as it happened, there was a schedule change, and hilariously, I had to be in 2 places at the one time. So when I arrived on set and that AD introduced himself to me, I'd rushed from another set and was already trying to think, what am I going to have to do on this set? It was a very, very unusual situation, but kind of hilarious given the topic that I was studying at the time. And today's fast-paced digital world, where we have phones pinging every couple of minutes and apps to which we become addicted, makes focusing on just one thing all the more difficult. Maybe you've got more willpower than I do, but if you want to stop procrastinating and really get stuff done, let's start by putting that phone really far away, like in another room, and by using the do not disturb function or just deleting the apps that suck your time away time and time again, or even by turning it off. Yes, I went there, turn your phone off. Then your productivity will increase as your focus on the task at hand narrows in. I've got a freelancer stress thing about my phone that goes beyond just the kind of app addiction, my YouTube addiction, which I occasionally mention here. I've still got that, by the way, and I'm trying to deal with it. But this stress thing, it's like a hang-on from the days when I really needed work. I feel that I can't miss a call, or that if an email comes in, I really must answer it right away. I've basically had to deal with that kind of problem. I know it's a thing, and I know it's a hang-on from when work was very, very scarce. My higher level thinking self knows it's not that important, and so when it comes to meetings or even visiting family or friends, I try to switch my phone off unless I know that I'm expecting something important. The thing is that emails generally don't need responded to right away, and unless the important call is expected, you can always just call someone back. We can chill out. Everything's going to be all right. We all know too that checking your phone whilst you're in a meeting or with friends is kind of rude and disrespectful, but you can find yourself doing it nonetheless. In a meeting it means that you're not really on the ball, and if you're a professional then you should really bring your A game, of course. Flight mode, silent, do not disturb or preferably off are all better options than checking your Facebook feed whilst the director talks about their vision. Have a notebook and a pen instead. That's what you really need. And you can always doodle if you have to. Just give others your full attention and show respect and be in the room, as it were. Gary Keller says that success demands a singleness of purpose. But even knowing all this, I still find myself checking emails when I should be working and checking Twitter and Instagram when I should be paying attention to the people in front of me. And I still end up on YouTube watching cat videos and the Knight Rider theme played on the banjo, which is awesome, by the way, but I digress. I'll put a link to it in the show notes, don't tell anyone. If you can do one thing at a time and not get bored by the focused effort, not check your Twitter feed or play a game every couple of minutes and interrupt whatever, then you are far more likely to succeed. I'm open to the possibility that you don't like what you're hearing here in this episode or that you totally disagree, but if you genuinely want to be more productive, significantly more productive, then you just have to learn to do one thing at a time. So thanks again for tuning in. Next episode, I'll be talking about my 12-week year and how I used it as an escape plan to move out of an overwhelmed rut and onto the path of productivity. For now, though, take control of your own destiny, keep on shooting, and join me next time on Film Pro Productivity. The music that you're listening to right now is Adventures by Ehumitsu. You can view the show notes for this episode on the official website at filmproproductivity.com. If you're struggling with something you think I can help with, or would like to tell me how you're getting on, then please get in touch via the contact page on the website. You can also get me on Twitter at fight_director, or follow the show at FilmProProdPod. And there's also now a Facebook page at Film Pro Productivity. Please subscribe on the podcast app of your choice, and if you are in a caring and sharing mood, then please spread the word about the show, and I'd really appreciate it if you would leave a review, ideally on iTunes.